Okay, so today is October 5th. It's hard to believe that it's October 5th. There's a lot that's been going on. And since our last meeting, here's kind of a quick set of goals that we hit in September. We've been building and designing the application tier for HyperCloud, including GraphQL. The core business rules are complete, and we continue to complete the dashboard functionality. Last 2 weeks ago, we had a product launch planning session and really reduced the initial release to a developer preview. Maybe Trip can show some of that in a little bit. And then the other two bits that we worked on or focused on in September was HyperConnect, a client that makes it easy for Node.js and Dino to connect to the Hyper service, whether it's running locally or running in our cloud service, and HyperTest. And HyperTest is really to validate Hyper adapters in an end-to-end test suite. So we've been continuing to refine that, and basically have fully tested it on our local service, our nano image, and we'll be testing it against the cloud images shortly. So that was September. In October, probably the biggest news is we're launching the developer preview of Hyper, which is the data service kind of free tier. So the plan is to launch the data service and free tier developer tier October 18th and 19th at all things open. And then we'll set up a roadmap and launch additional services over time and additional tiers. The next two tiers we have is startup and agency, and then the services that we'll be releasing is cache, storage, queues, and search. So those will all be coming down the pipe, and we figured we would incrementally release so that we can help people on board and really create some good quality documentation and some good quality workshops for developers to use the product. So that's really what I had, was kind of to show our current roadmap, what we did in September, what we're looking to do in October. Also looking to get some open source contribution with the DynamoDB adapter, and then at some point an auth-in or a scheduler port. And our goal is to try to onboard, I think, 50 developers for the developer preview version. And that's it for me. Trip, were you able to get something that you could possibly show?
Yeah, let me share my screen here. You guys see this okay?
Yep.
All right, so here's the home splash screen prompting you to sign in. You'll need a GitHub account. It says welcome to developer preview. Once you've signed in, you'll see your applications. We're going to hide some of these features behind feature flags. So, for example, we're not going to have teams. We're not going to have payment. We're going to have the data service available to you, but we're going to release the cache, search, storage, and queue, as Tom said, via a roadmap. So if I were to refresh this, Now, let me go back and shut it down, start it back up.
Okay, now I'll just.
Get the pod to do its thing.
But we're gonna do something else now, okay? I am going to give you some words.
So, you know, we should see, now we have upgrade true, but let's turn that off to false, right? So now if we go back, upgrade's not there anymore. It's hidden behind a feature flag. If I go to look at an app in Hyper, we just see the data tab, right? But when Tom says release the Kraken, release the cache service, or whatever service we want, we can just turn that on and boom, it'll be on, right? And able to manage that. So right now, you know, we don't have teams on, so you can't add a team or see teams or anything like that. But once we turn that on, you know, you get the idea. All of a sudden, your ability to add teams and everything else will light up, right? And you can switch over to a team and add an application. And you can see the application was created, and then you can pop over to the application and add additional services if you wanted to later. And now you have a Casey's Great Cache service. So you can see it's coming along. It's a lot tighter. We moved deleting an application back behind a kind of like a service application service settings where we could delete the application if we wanted to. We haven't implemented that mutation yet to do that, but we will. So we have you know, kind of like in-app documentation links where you can, you know, see, you know, find out more information about what you're interacting with through the app. So that's what we have right now. We also integrated with Stripe as well. So I haven't tested that in a while, and it's not going to be there for the developer preview, but I'll turn it on anyway, see what happens. Why not? So I could go and if we wanted to create a new team, I'll call it Super Friends. Pick my subscription level and an avatar. Oh, light orange done one more. Okay, there it is, light orange. And I'll create a new team. And if the demo gods are with us, it'll pop us over to Stripe. So we can, there's our email. We can put in our information, payment information. It's not real Casey, so don't steal it. And then subscribe. And then that'll set me up with a paid Hyper startup subscription for that team. So now we should be able to see Super Friends, right? And we'll be able to add applications accordingly. So that application was, should have popped up. I'm so sad. That application should have 2 services with a data and cache created for you. So pretty easy to use. So you got to see teams, you got to see payments, you got to see apps, creating app instances. So it's coming along. Feature flags.
Yay, feature flags.
What's that?
Yay, feature flags.
Yay, feature flags. They were so nice to put in, really super easy to put in. Granted, we just have them hard coded in here now, but we can move this to whatever storage mechanism we want, and then we just expose We just have like a feature flags, library here, and we just have it is feature enabled curried function, and we just build little constants, the Boolean values that we export. And so you can just bring those into your app and you say, hey, is this enabled? Then show it. If not, then don't. So for example, if teams are enabled, which they're not, it's pretty funny. It kept it on super teams as the current account. But if I go back in and look at it, can't see teams anymore. And if I try to create a new team, I forget what that was. I think it was teams new. I think. Oh, well, I need to protect that and say, since it's off, it'll route me back home. Like if I go and create a new app or something like that, it will route me. It'll say that feature flag's not on and route me back home. So
Nice. Very cool. That's awesome work.
Yeah, so it was pretty easy. So I would highly recommend Casey, if you're not using them, to use feature flags. You can release darkly and you don't have and no one can ever use your feature. So that's what it's all about. But at least you can release it and get it out there into the wild, and then hide it, and turn it on when you're ready.
Yeah, I remember reading about it recently, and I'm actually wondering, I don't think that I was reading about it through something from Hyper, but I don't know if one of you maybe shared it in the chat. I don't remember where I found it, just randomly. But yeah, feature flags look very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It was surprisingly pretty painless to put them in. So we purposely kept it high level on our flags, and not getting too granular. And if we need to separate a UI flag from a backend flag, we'll just put a is UI flag prop on this array of flags. But yeah, anyway, so that's the demo. It's tightening up from the last time we demoed it, so that's cool.
Looks good. Tyler, thanks for joining. You have any updates from your end?
Hey, yeah, sorry I'm late. I was typing up an issue on the Hyper repo and I lost track of time.
Never happens to me.
So as far as demo, I don't think I didn't prepare anything to show, although I have been pretty busy with working on HyperCloud, but in particular the conversation that you and I had, Tom, on Friday, that auth solution that we needed to put in place, so that I can sort of describe here to the group, just so everyone's aware of sort of how this is working. So with HyperCloud, of course, we have our dashboard. And for those of you who don't know, we're actually dog fooding cloud.hyper to build out the dashboard and everything that runs the dashboard. So how anyone else who is a user of HyperCloud can have an application inside of cloud.hyper where they store all their data and they have all their Hyper services running. We're doing the same exact thing for the dashboard. We have our own application in cloud.hyper, and we do some bootstrapping when we do some bootstrapping inside of cloud.hyper to spin up the HyperCloud application within cloud.hyper. So part of that is part of cloud.hyper is when a request comes in for a particular app, we do some verification on the bearer token that comes in that request. So when a user creates an application in HyperCloud, they are issued an initial set of an API key pair, where they have an ID and a secret, and they're given a connection string that they can then use to consume their Hyper application and they need to sign tokens or create JWT tokens and attach them to requests with the sub of that token as the ID that's issued to them for their hypercloud application. And then it needs to be signed with the secret. And so what happens is when a request comes into cloud.hyper, cloud.hyper looks at that token and it needs to verify it. And so cloud.hyper itself is, when it spins up, it also bootstraps a set of services that it's using to store all of the API keys that it provisions for accessing services on cloud.hyper, or applications, I should say. It will take that token, it'll look at the sub, it'll look at the application that's in the URL, and it will fetch the API key pair from these services that it's spun up. If it finds the key, then it will grab the secret, it will verify that the token is signed with that secret, and if all is well, then it'll just send it right along to the underlying hyper service. There's a lot of moving parts. I did just, I probably could have diagrammed something out, but I did not. But I'll probably throw something together just for posterity and making sure that we are clear on how everything's working there. But it's all working great now. And so basically the Hyper Cloud dashboard does the same thing, where anytime it's serving up data for the Hyper Cloud dashboard, it sends along its own API key pair to cloud.hyper. Cloud.hyper verifies it, and then it's just a regular old consumer of cloud.hyper. So
That's awesome.
Nothing special going on there.
That's so awesome. Good job.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, it was fun work. And I was really hitting my stride when I was able to use Hyper Connect, like within cloud.hyper, for it to consume its own services, which is pretty nice. And everything's working pretty nicely. And
Did you have to have a kicker to kick you out of the inception loop that you found yourself in? Did you have to
there's a lot
have
of,
your roommate come in and kick the chair out from under you?
yeah, there was a lot of whiteboarding involved, and lots of like Charlie from Always Sunny, where he's standing in front of the board with all the yarn everywhere, and he's just like, "Huh." So, but that's all working. So as of right now, like all the authentication stuff is good and ready to go. And so I've just been, as Trip was saying, feature flagging all of the stuff on the dashboard backend. We're using GraphQL, and so feature flagging was pretty straightforward for us. We just took those same feature flags that Trip created, we imported them into where we stitch our schema, and if a certain feature wasn't enabled, then we didn't stitch in the mutation, the type and the resolver for the mutation. And then we had a couple types that we omitted from our graph as well. But with that, everything's pulled out of the API. No one can consume it. But because of the way that we've set up that like admin graph that I was showing to you, Tom, and Trip the other day, we can omit parts of the schema from the schema from the graph the dashboard consumes, while leaving it still open on the admin graph if we wanted to do that. So could be a way for there could be some use cases there. But that's what I've been working on. Sorry if that was a bit jumbled, but it's been busy working.
Yeah, I hear that we've got auth working and we're not having to add a bazillion infrastructure bits. So I'm super excited.
No, just two more, a hyper data service and a hyper cache service. Still within cloud.hyper.
Very nice. And Ben's joined the call. Ben's started kind of leading our community support effort. And one of the things is that I think, got almost 50, well, I know we've got 30 people to join our Slack, but really working on trying to, open up our Slack and invite people that are interested in the developer preview. And Ben is helping us kind of engage, run some giveaways, and really just reach out to the community and help us make people aware of Hyper. So that's pretty awesome. Ben, did I miss anything? Anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so. We just gotta keep an eye on Joe. If he keeps winning, we're gonna have to have a conversation.
That was so funny. That's kind of JavaScript randomness there. Where it's the same person every single time. That's
If he gets it again
Hey,
tomorrow,
there-
I'm gonna
if-
have a conversation.
If there wasn't a duplicate every once in a while, you can guarantee that it's not random.
yeah. So that's going on, and Casey and a couple of guys are currently looking at doing the DynamoDB adapter. Casey, any updates you'd like to share on that or comments?
I'm gonna meet with them fairly soon to get that finished and squared away. I met with a few students last night and just went over some DynamoDB stuff, them included. But yeah, excited to start on that.
Yeah, and what's pretty excited is, been kind of slow going, but I think we've got a good starter template for kind of a contract and a statement of work. And we kind of structured it as a, each kind of feature as kind of a set bounty. It's really kind of like a bounty. So, but the gist is all the features have to be completed in order for everything to clear. So in that way, we'll let multiple folks kind of work on this adapter at the same time. And it's just very transparent who gets what when complete. So I think that's pretty cool. We'll be doing more of that in the future. So we'll, once Casey's team gets rolling, we'll, work out all the bumps and bruises, and then look to do more of that in the future. So I covered our roadmap. We're going to be at All Things Open in October 18th and 19th. We'll have a booth and a virtual booth, and going to be a road trip to Raleigh. So it should be fun. And again, tell all your friends to join the community. It's really an easy link now. It's hyper.io/Slack. That should send them to the invite page. So it's super easy to sign up. And that's going to probably be the best place to, find out what's going on with Hyper. So that's all I had. Does anyone have anything else before we close out? Great work, Trip. Great work, Tyler. Ben, thank you for helping us with the community, because I don't think we could focus if we had to do that too. So thank you very much. And
Yeah, thank you, Ben.
Yeah, glad to do it.
I do have one quick question.
swag coming. I'll have some swag for everybody next couple weeks. So t-shirts and hoodies and stickers. Got stickers.
Woo.
Blurred.
You can't focus. See if Still can't focus. Nope. Well,
Try and put it in front of your, if you put it in front of a face, it'll
Yeah.
usually focus, I think. There it is.
there it is. Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Great work, and we'll see you next month.
I do have one quick question.
Yeah.
So you've got free tier and then you jump to startup, which if I recall is around 400. Have you guys considered in between like a developer tier that's like $10 a month? If you're, I imagine like a private developer with a personal site or something.
Yeah, it's a great question. So our goal is to make the free tier the developer tier. That's the initial goal. But if if there is a need for like a single developer to, because essentially what you're getting is business support. So 5 days a week, kind of 9 to 5 support with the paid tier. Yeah, I think we're definitely open to that. But right now we're just trying to keep it kind of simple. You have free or startup. But we do have the flexibility in the code base to kind of slice it any way that it makes sense. So technically, I should default to Tyler before I say something, but I believe technically we would be able to carve out another tier if we needed to.
Yeah, we can definitely. The flexibility is there. Like to create another tier, to have one-offs for particular customers. Like if a particular customer wanted an additional app or an additional service within an app, that should all be supported by our current business logic, and making those sorts of exceptions to the sort of the rules. But then adding a whole nother tier, that's also possible.
I will move it on computer and.
Great. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you next month.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.